Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Regina Mount Royal. We're pleased to be here, and we thank Curtis, Mayor, for hosting us here today, and our Mount Royal Saskatchewan Party candidate, Jesse Mander, for hosting us as well. Over the first 3 days of the campaign, we've been rolling out our plan to make life more affordable for Saskatchewan people. And the Saskatchewan Party will make life more affordable for post-secondary graduates by increasing the graduate retention program benefit. We will make life more affordable for families by increasing the active families benefit. And the Saskatchewan Party will make life more affordable for everyone by cutting your income taxes. So today I'm announcing additional measures that will make life even more affordable for those that are buying their first home, for those that are looking to renovate their home, and for seniors who might live in a personal care home. We're going to make that easier by increasing the first-time homeowners tax credit that we have. From $10,000, it will increase to $15,000. Then that will increase the actual benefit from $1,050 up to $1,575. If you already own your home, you know that today renovations or any renovations that you're looking at in that home, they're rather expensive today. In 2020, during the pandemic, the Saskatchewan Party introduced a temporary home renovation tax credit. Well, a re-elected Saskatchewan Party will reinstate that tax credit and we will make it permanent. You'll be able to claim up to $4,000 each and every year of your home renovations. That will result in a savings of about $420 each year. Seniors will be able to claim an additional $1,000, which will result in a savings for our province's seniors of $525 a year. A re-elected Saskatchewan Party government is also going to increase the personal care home benefit for low-income seniors by $1,000 per month. $1,000 per month. It'll go from $2,500 today to $3,500. This benefit delivers a monthly payment to low-income seniors of the difference between $2,500 and whatever their monthly income might be. So increasing the threshold to $3,500 means that 560 seniors in Saskatchewan who currently receive the benefit will receive an additional $1,000 a month. And about 1,500 Saskatchewan seniors will begin to receive the benefit as a result of this increase. Now, it was the Saskatchewan Party government that introduced this benefit in 2012. It was the Saskatchewan Party government that increased this benefit in 2015 and again in 2023 and committed to an increase if we have the honor to form government this election season. Now, our re-elected Saskatchewan Party government will also increase the benefit to about 140 SED clients under the age of 65 who also live in a personal care home. That benefit will increase to $1,380 a year. Will increase by, $1,380 a year. And of course, all of this is in addition to the decision that your Saskatchewan Party government has made last fall to take the Trudeau NDP carbon tax off of our home heating bills in this province. That initiative alone saves Saskatchewan homeowners over $400 each and every year. The federal NDP continues to support the Trudeau carbon tax, and so does the provincial NDP. Many of their candidates have publicly stated their very strong support for the Trudeau carbon tax, and we released a number of examples of that this morning. We need a government that's going to stand up for Saskatchewan families and Saskatchewan residents. Not one that stands up for the Trudeau carbon tax that makes everything that we purchase cost more. The Saskatchewan Party will make life more affordable for Saskatchewan people buying their first home, renovating their first home, for seniors and for SED clients that are living in a personal care home. And this is all part of our plan to have a strong economy and a bright future in our great province of Saskatchewan. Now, I want to first thank Jaspreet Mander for hosting us in the constituency of Mount Royal here today. But I also want to say give a shout out and a thank you to Curtis Meyer for hosting us here today. And I just asked Curtis if he has a comment or two on the purchase of his home. And he was one of the folks in Saskatchewan that utilized the first-time homebuyers tax credit a few years ago. So, Curtis, if you had a comment, feel free. Whoops, I'm going to end up in your garden.
Yes, as mentioned by Premier Moe, back when I purchased this house, I was eligible to receive the first-time homebuyers credit. Anyone who's purchased a house, especially as a younger person, understands the significant upfront costs, the lawyer fees, moving fees, furnishing the house. It is stressful, and when you're budgeting for that, any amount of money helps, and $1,050 is a significant amount of money. Alongside of that, I understand on Tuesday there's an announcement for the increase to the Saskatchewan grad retention program. That is something I also took advantage of. I've raised in Saskatchewan, worked in Saskatchewan. So that's something that I took full advantage of. And I'm also getting married next year, and I know my fiance has some plans. Me and her have some plans to get some stuff moving along in the house. So the renovation credit will probably also be something that I'll take full advantage of come that time. So I think the significance of all these programs is just making it accessible, making it affordable to stay here, to live in a great neighborhood like I live in, which I am extremely grateful for. And I'm moving forward. I hope that continues to be the case. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Curtis, and to your fiancée, Sarah, for hosting us here today. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. If there's any questions, Curtis will be happy to take them. Laura has a question.
I want to know how he keeps his garage so clean like that. I got to send Terry over to check it out.
I have a question.
Seriously nice.
I have a question.
Yeah, John.
These affordability promises this week, why didn't they come in earlier? During the spring budget or even a year ago. Why during a campaign instead of during a budget when presumably you would have had a lot less grief over the summer over the affordability?
Well, I would say that these are in addition to all of the affordability measures that are not only in the most recent budget, but are in each of the annual budgets here in the province, which lead to Saskatchewan being the most affordable place to live in the nation of Canada, and having the lowest inflationary rate across Canada. That being said, we understand that Saskatchewan families and individuals are struggling with the cost of living pressures like other Canadians are. And that's why you've seen a significant focus this first week by the Saskatchewan Party on, the very affordability issues that are impacting Saskatchewan families, impacting seniors that live in this province, impacting new students and those that are entering their career and encouraging them to stay in the province of Saskatchewan. But as we have said many times, there's over $2 billion in each and every budget, including this last budget, that are contributing to the fact that Saskatchewan is the most affordable place to live in Canada today. On top of that, prior to the election campaign, you saw the Saskatchewan Party government take a very firm stance in removing the carbon tax off of our home heating bills that we have across this province. And so that is unique to the province of Saskatchewan, saving Saskatchewan homeowners over $420 each and every year. And I would suggest that it's that very carbon tax that is increasing the cost of so many things that we buy, whether it be at the grocery store, whether it be when we're fueling our car up to take our children to school or to their recreational events that they are attending. And it's a carbon tax that the NDP support, not only nationally, but the NDP and many of their candidates have openly supported provincially here as well. And I think that speaks to the choice that Saskatchewan people will have on October the 28th between a government that is focused on the needs and the affordability measures of Saskatchewan people by removing the carbon tax off of their home heating, not supporting the carbon tax, and we have not supported it since day one. In fact, it was 8 years ago yesterday, that carbon tax was introduced, and it was a Saskatchewan environment minister that left that particular meeting and started this whole conversation about the ridiculousness and the inflationary pressures that is going to have on Canadians and Saskatchewan people. And so we're trying to alleviate that pressure as best we can as a provincial government. And if we are re-elected on October 28th, Saskatchewan people can take note of the difference between the Saskatchewan Party's stance, our record, and ultimately what we will do in the future versus the NDP, who have supported Trudeau and support a carbon tax up to and including today.
How much will it cost the Sask Party to continue to make these promises?
Each of our commitments that we have are costed out in each of the background documents that we provide. And I have the costs here today, but you can find them in the background documents. And as we find our way through our platform, we will have all of our platform fully costed and certainly be communicating that like we do each and every other election. And again, a significant difference between a Saskatchewan Party platform that is put forward to the people of Saskatchewan and what we have seen in previous elections and including this election by the NDP. They have $4 billion in what I would say is irresponsible spending, and $4 billion that they have not come forward and indicated how they are going to actually pay for it. And Saskatchewan Party in each and every election has had a fully costed campaign, a fully costed platform, and we will have that here shortly too.
So where did you come up with that $4 billion cost for the NDP's promises to date?
Well, we intend on winning the election and not subjecting Saskatchewan people to the $4 billion in irresponsible spending that the NDP is committing. That's the choice that Saskatchewan people have on October the 28th. It's a choice between higher taxation, higher debt, and ultimately cancelling of infrastructure projects in this province to pay for their irresponsible spending. And you know what that means in Regina is you see an urgent care centre that's up and operating, a new and innovative way to deliver health care here, helping hundreds of people throughout the course of a week, providing that healthcare access that we desperately need in our communities and across the nation. That wouldn't happen under an NDP government because they simply have put forward an irresponsible platform that is going to hinder the ability for us to build capital projects. It's going to increase taxes. And that is a record and that is our plan, decline, loss, and closure.
And I apologize if my question was unclear, but where and how did you, as the Sask Party, come up with that $4 billion?
Counted all of their commitments and put them forward. And ask her what the number is and how they're going to pay for it. I don't know if that's been asked of the Leader of the Opposition. I hope it is. It should be on behalf of voters across this province.
Have you looked at expanding the carbon tax, thinking off other things? It doesn't necessarily help everyone, like you mentioned, driving your kids around for like hockey practice.
Always looking at what we can do in removing ineffective taxes like the carbon tax on Saskatchewan people. And, so if we are able to, we're always looking at that. And if we are able to remove the carbon tax entirely, we certainly would do that. Ultimately, the solution and how the carbon tax will be removed, in particular the consumer-based carbon tax, is going to be removed at the ballot box in a federal election. And we would support the removal of that carbon tax, and we'll be openly supporting any party that is going to remove that, because it is a tax that is ineffective. It does not reduce emissions. It increases the inflationary pressures that Saskatchewan people and Canadian families are facing.
So when you were in government, did you actually look at methods of removing the carbon tax from others?
Yes, and that's how we arrived with the use of our Crown utilities, utilizing our Crown utilities to remove the carbon tax off of home heating. That will save the majority of Saskatchewan residents about over $400 each and every year. That is an example and was pointed to by Statistics Canada as one of the reasons why Saskatchewan has the lowest inflationary rate in the nation of Canada. It was the removal of that carbon tax off our home heating. Can you imagine what our inflationary rate in Canada would be if it was removed off of fuel? That families are using, that trucking companies are utilizing to bring us our food and to bring us everything that we purchase. And that's why we've made a number of announcements this week that are having an impact on families. Very shortly, we might be interrupted here by a delivery of a washer and dryer. Dollars that could be utilized by the credit for the first-time home buyers, whether it be a renovation credit, whatever that might be. But that is why this party is putting forward a number of affordability measures this very week so that families and individuals can choose to live in not only our province, but maybe in a community where they were raised, maybe even in the neighborhood where they were raised, and to add to that bright future that Saskatchewan and the Saskatchewan Party government aspires to.
Would you consider making September 30th a provincial holiday?
We have had those discussions and continue to have those discussions. I answered this in Prince Albert as well with respect to TRC Day, and I was pleased to join a number of folks in Prince Albert with PA Grand Town Council at their event on Monday as well. The fact is this: Saskatchewan has as many or almost as many as any more than any other province with the statutory holidays that we have, and so it's a broader discussion than just adding a holiday. It is a discussion that would have to happen with communities, with business, with government itself, and with our Indigenous leaders across the province. And I would say that that's always an ongoing discussion with respect to that. But Saskatchewan has 10 or 11 stat holidays as we sit now, which is among the most in the nation of Canada. And I would provide the example of in Manitoba, for example, Manitoba does not provincially recognize Remembrance Day as a stat holiday. I would say in no way do Manitobans not recognize what our veterans have done for us in the freedom that we have across Canada. Although it's not recognized as a stat holiday, it does not in any way diminish the importance of the day and the recognizing what the day signifies.
Just because we're on the topic of September 30th, the Meadow Lake Tribal Council says the Saskatchewan Justice Unite is facing criticism after 2 workers were sent home for wearing orange on Monday.
Right.
Which, of course, Orange Shirt Day. So I guess, have you heard of these allegations? And if they're true, I guess, what would your response to that be?
Yeah, I was asked this yesterday as well, and I'd point to a piece of private members' legislation that was passed by our government. When it comes to wearing poppies to honor our veterans on Remembrance Day in the workplace, and the right to be able to do that. And I think a re-elected Saskatchewan Party government would certainly sit down with a number of different entities, including again our Indigenous leaders across the province, on looking at expanding that legislation in this space so that we are. We have a fulsome piece of legislation that is allowing us to respect some of our nation's history in ways that we do, whether that be wearing a poppy or whether that be wearing an orange shirt on TRC Day.
Back to the announcement here. So almost most, if not all, of the announcement made this week are tax initiatives,
Right.
which require people to have and families to have that money in the first place. So what would you say to criticism that none of these announcements are helping the people who are most vulnerable and struggling the most with affordability?
That simply isn't true. Removing people from the provincial tax rolls with the announcement we had in 2008, which removed 112,000 people from paying any provincial income tax at all, has an impact, a most significant impact, I would say, on those that may be in the lower income brackets. Adding to that and expanding that with the most significant tax reduction since 2008 on day one of this campaign is going to benefit another 54,000 people, removing them from the provincial tax rolls at all. A total of 166,000 people today will not be paying one dime of provincial income tax relative to when there was an NDP government here. $26,000 was the income threshold that people started to pay tax in Saskatchewan prior to a Saskatchewan Party government. That number for a family of 4 today is $72,000. A significant increase and a significant opportunity, I think, for Saskatchewan people to take home more of those paychecks, and in particularly that is the case in the lower income thresholds. That's why we moved on that policy on day one. It is a policy that benefits everyone, each and every one in the province of Saskatchewan. Unlike a temporary reduction of the gas tax, which benefits people that drive and may not necessarily benefit those that don't drive, that might be in the lower income categories, benefits trucking companies that may not even be centered in Saskatchewan, but their trucks are passing through and filling up with fuel here, headed for wherever they might be. And so we had put forward in 2008 a significant income tax reduction that impacted those in the lower income brackets. That was added to and enhanced just on day one of this campaign, and we'll move very quickly on that if we have the honor to form government on October the 28th.
I guess with all these incentives, there are already programs that exist, and I know you're bringing back the renovation tax credit, but why not take, these seem to be programs that are already working, but there's other areas, other services like healthcare and education, which are at crisis points. Why not take the money invested into these incentives and put them into areas where a lot of people say they are at crisis points and need investment?
I would say we're doing both. Our healthcare budget was increased close to 11%, an unprecedented increase in healthcare investment. The introduction of the urgent care center that is, seeing people in a new and innovative way, and is really new not only to Saskatchewan but new to Canada, with the attachment of the intake for those that in our families and our communities that might be struggling with a mental health challenge, or unfortunately have entered a life of addictions. We're building the capacity behind that intake with the 500 intensive recovery beds that we are building across this province. And so that investment in healthcare and education is happening alongside the enhancing of, as you said, a number of different programs that are impacting the affordability of Saskatchewan residents, Saskatchewan seniors, Saskatchewan families, enhancing programs that are already working today. The seniors, the personal care home benefit enhancement, certainly is going to be a benefit to not only low-income seniors that are living in a personal care home, but I think give the families of those seniors some comfort, knowing that their parents, their family are going to be taken care of for years into the future. And so This, what we have talked about in a large part this week is enhancing programs that we would say, and agree with you, have been highly successful in the past, but enhancing them so that they are there and to be highly successful in the future.
You've mentioned the importance of addressing our healthcare system, which is under pretty serious pressure. When and why did you decline the invitation to Sun's conference yesterday at the legislature, and why did Health Minister Everett Hindley not attend after he said he would?
Well, as you know, we're in the middle of a campaign. Yesterday, I was in Prince Albert and Saskatoon. I was not in Regina, and Minister Hindley is campaigning in his constituency of Swift Current, and so that's where we are, and that's what we're doing at this point in time. I would also point to the fact that Minister Hindley has met not only with Sun, but with all nursing designation, the collective bargaining table leaders recently in the lead up to the campaign. And out of those discussions, he has agreed with all of the nursing designations to form a nursing task force, Sun, including our LPNs, including other healthcare providers, to work together on focusing on, providing the very best service that we can to the patients that are coming into our healthcare facilities, wherever that might be in whatever community across Saskatchewan. So the health minister has met in the lead up to the campaign with each of the leaders of the various collective bargaining tables in the healthcare sector, but in particular those that are representative of the various designations of nurses that we have. And that's where that offer of forming that nursing task force, multidisciplinary nursing task force with a patient focus came from. And so the meetings have happened in the lead up as the governing members. We're in a campaign now. Minister Hindley's working hard in his constituency. As I said, I was in Prince Albert and Saskatoon, and we're down in Mount Royal today with Jesse, who is him and his team are working very hard in this constituency as well. And I would say that this is the funnest part of the 4-year cycle, is to be out visiting with people like Curtis and others. And Jesse, you and your team have been busy here. And how many doors have you knocked in this constituency?
26,000.
26,000 doors that him and his team have been on. Talking to folks, engaging with folks, and that's really where we're taking our cues from.
I mean, you mentioned Minister Hindley is on the campaign trail, much like you are, but he had said that he would appear and speak at the event yesterday.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't able to because he was in his constituency. But as I said, as government, that meeting happened not that long ago, in the lead up to the campaign, and that's where the nursing task force, which has been asked for by myself, by not only Tracy Zambori, but some of the other healthcare leaders as well. And the government would look forward to moving forward on that, should we have the honor of forming government on October the 28th with that patient focus. And so, I can't speak to Minister Hindley specifically, but that engagement has happened, and it has occurred very recently as a government member and as a Minister of Health.
Why not move forward on the task force prior to now? I mean, we've been talking about it for 2 years.
Yeah, a number of discussions happened in that space. The nursing task force, as I said, is multidisciplinary. So there's a number of folks that need to be, consulted and worked with in order for that to happen. And at the end of the day, it needs to be focused on patient care. And so I would say, some may say that maybe it's late. I'd say better late than never to have that engagement. And we most certainly, if we do have the honor of forming government, if folks from Mount Royal, if they should elect Jesse, for example, to be part of that government, I'm sure he'd be a strong voice on behalf of these folks when it comes to innovative and new ways to provide health care here in the community of Regina, like the urgent care center that's operating in Regina and operating very, very successfully. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, sorry, one last question. I just wanted to make sure I didn't cut anybody else off. I just wanted to talk about private school funding, which has been a recent conversation over the last couple of years, I guess. Will the Saskatchewan Party continue funding for Saskatchewan private schools if you're elected?
Yes, and these are other significant differences between the two parties at the polling sake and ultimately form government. Is not only we will continue to support parental choice in education, but we'll continue to support the very fact that parents have a right to be involved in their child's education. And so a non-financial difference between the Saskatchewan Party and the NDP Party is our introduction of the policy on ensuring that parents can be involved in decisions that their children are making. decisions on the classes that they take, and that the teacher in the school will consult parents on the decisions that they're making. The NDP will repeal not only that policy, but the piece of legislation, and provide an environment where essentially our education system and our teachers would have the ability to keep secrets from parents. And we just simply don't agree that is the way that our education system should be operating. And so another significant difference and a choice for Saskatchewan people to consider at the ballot box on October 28th is our commitment as a party to ensure that parents have the right to be involved in their children's education.
So I guess, if people say that private schools are receiving too much funding, I guess how would you address those concerns?
Well, it's a fraction of what our public and separate system receive. In addition, they don't receive capital funding. And so, but we do support, to the degree that we have the formula in place for a number of independent schools, that parents do have the right to have a choice on where they send their children. Thank you, everybody.